Want to know the top 10 lessons that I've learned in the past 10 years helping lawn, landscaping, and outdoor living contractors grow using online marketing? What's going on, you guys? Matt Thibeau here with Savant Marketing Agency. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing the top 10 lessons I've learned throughout my marketing career, all the way from the very beginning of when I helped a landscaper make $10,000 profit in 1 month of working with us, all the way to now where we've been helping many different landscapers add an extra $1 million in revenue in about 12 months. I'm going to be sharing with you these top 10 different lessons so that you can benefit and grow your landscaping business using effective online marketing. So let's jump right into things here. So number one, the first lesson I want to share with you is you can't polish a turd. Now, I don't mean that in a crass way, and I'm not saying that your business is a turd or anything like that. But what I am saying is that no matter how good the marketing is, if the service isn't good, if the actual product and the end result that the customer is getting is not good, then no amount of marketing will be able to fix that, unfortunately. I've learned from the very beginning that sometimes we would get clients where, they would have bad reviews online, or even on the ads that we're running, you would be getting comments of people saying like, this company's a scam. Like, I use them, they ripped me off, blah, blah, blah. It's only going to hurt your results. And so something that I've learned as a marketing agency owner is that if the company that is hiring us to help them with their marketing doesn't provide a great service and isn't a company that really stands by their word, we unfortunately can't help them, because no amount of good marketing is going to be able to fix the problem that already exists in their business. And it just makes growth so much harder. Your reputation is really everything. And so if you have a crappy company that does crappy work and doesn't do right by your customers, then like I said, the marketing is really not going to fix that. Marketing is just an amplifier. So it's just going to amplify all the problems that you already have in your business. On the flip side of that, if you have a great business and everyone loves you, then all the marketing just becomes easier because the product and service is great. So it's just going to amplify what already is. Number two, the second lesson I want to share with you is to focus where the momentum already is. A lot of outdoor living or landscaping companies will hire us and they want to promote a new service that they have. So they want to grow a different section of their business, or maybe like a different sector, right, or division. And anytime that happens, I always advise them, let's just build on what is already successful first, and then we can start putting some resources towards growing another division, because it's so much easier to add fuel to the fire of something that already has some momentum and really start pushing that, right? Think of like pushing a big snowball down a hill rather than pushing it up one. Anytime that you're like building something from zero, it's going to take a lot more time, money, and resources overall to make that happen. And so what I always recommend is to focus first on like what's already working really, really well. So if you're trying to grow your business, what part of your business already is doing really well? What specific service, right? Maybe it's hardscapes are working really well, patios, or maybe it's lawn care for you is something that's really blowing up. And so adding marketing to something that's already working really well is definitely a better bet than adding marketing to something that is like at ground zero and you're just starting it up. There's always going to be more success where momentum already is. The third lesson I want to share with you is to be very, very specific in your marketing. A lot of landscapers fail with online marketing and advertising because they go super broad with what they're putting out there as a message, right? Just the other day, I was on a call with a landscaping company, and I was looking at his ads, and one of the ads was saying like pools, another ad was saying patios, another ad was saying tree removals. And so if you have a lot of different messages out there, it's going to be harder for you to get success with marketing. The reason for this is we all have something in our brain called the reticular activating system. Basically what this is it's a filter in your brain that filters out anything that's relevant for you or not relevant for you. This is like kind of what explains when you buy a new car and you never really noticed that car on the street before until finally when you're driving and you start seeing all the same cars. It's because those cars were always there, but now you're seeing it because it's relevant to your brain. And the same thing applies for marketing. So in your message, you want to be very specific to what you're solving because you want to grab the attention of someone who's thinking to themselves, I need to get a tree removed, or I want to, do a backyard oasis and I want to transform my backyard. So like your message needs to say, are you looking to transform your backyard with a new patio or whatever, right? So the more specific in your messaging that you can go, the more success you're going to have because you're going to tap into that RAS. So avoid using vague generalities. Avoid listing out like a bunch of different services in your marketing and advertising. Be specific. It's really going to help you out. All right. The fourth thing that I've learned is that the more resources that a company has, the more success they're going to experience with a marketing campaign. Let me give you an example. Resources doesn't necessarily always just mean money, right? While having a big amount of capital is going to help a lot for an advertising campaign, because obviously you can put more dollars into that ad campaign. Also, there's things like time or just like the amount of commitment that you can give to that, right? So for example, let's say we have a client who has, a pretty big budget. They have a big team. They have salespeople. They have, a CRM with like good tech. They have a lot of resources in their business to grow. Well, their odds and probability of having great success with a marketing and advertising campaign is going to be so much greater than someone who doesn't have much of a budget, is a one-man show, is so busy that they can't even take calls, is struggling with personal issues or something. Like the more resources that someone has and the more odds that are stacked up for them in their favor, then the greater result that's going to happen, right? And I know that this sounds obvious, but sometimes landscapers come to us and they're hoping for like an absolute Hail Mary, and they don't really have any balls in their court. Like they don't have a budget, they don't have a team, they don't have a reputation, they don't have anything. And so it's going to be a lot harder to help that person succeed, right? So one of the lessons that I've learned is that we love to work with people who have lots of resources. But even if you don't have, money resources, you need to have something else in your corner that's going to help you. So maybe you have more time to commit, right? You're going to call up these leads. You're going to knock on the doors. You're going to do what it takes to actually make it work, right? But if you're not willing to do other things that maybe you're uncomfortable with, it's going to be hard to get that kind of success, right? Number 5 is what I call right place, right time. This one's interesting, is that what I've realized is that sometimes with a campaign, it's just the wrong timing. So for example, if you are running a campaign in the fall for a specific service, maybe the timing for that service just isn't right because people who are in that area aren't necessarily thinking about getting that service just yet. So maybe you're a little bit early to the game, or maybe that you're a little bit late to the game with that kind of message. So sometimes what I've realized is that just stepping back and thinking, okay, like right now, are homeowners truly looking for this service for fall cleanups or spring cleanups, or, some of these more seasonal things like Christmas lighting or holiday lighting, et cetera, et cetera. The timing of a campaign is very important. Sometimes you can go too early. Sometimes you can go too late and kind of miss the train. So we've learned over the years of perfect timing in terms of campaigns. And so, sometimes we get clients that come to us and they want a campaign like now, and there's like literally a week to get set up and go. And it's just too late. Like the timing of these things is very important. So I would say to always be a little bit early to consult a marketing company like us or, any kind of marketer, because they're going to know how to prepare, or they should know how to prepare for these things. Because like I said, right place, right time. Sometimes it's not the right place. Sometimes it's not the right time. So you need to have that right. And you have to know that based off of like previous experience. Super important. All right. Number 6 is what I call the humble student. Now, what I've realized is that the clients that do the absolute best with us, they embody the spirit of a humble student. And what I mean by this is that they trust in our ability to do the marketing, and they basically consult us and just say like, what do you guys think? What do you recommend? And essentially, they're just taking consulting from us and they're just doing what we say. Like they don't really push back on what we recommend, So if we say, hey, record some of these videos, might be a little uncomfortable, but you'll get the hang of it. Like they do it because they trust and know that we're telling them based off of the results that it does well. Or if we say, hey, you want to call your leads this fast, you want to do it like this, like they go and do it. They don't push back and say, no, I want to do it my way. And so we really like working with clients who have the humble student, where they're willing to learn, they're humble, they just want to get the result. And those types of clients always do the best. The people who struggle are the ones that think they already know it, or they think like, no, I don't really think that's going to work for my type of customer, et cetera, et cetera. So the humble student is something that I've learned. That's the type of client that we love to work with because they get the results and they make it easy on us to be able to work with them. All right, the 7th lesson that I've learned is to never stop marketing. I can't tell you how many clients that we've worked with who are landscapers who will fill up their calendar and then think to themselves, okay, I don't need marketing anymore. Like, guys, let's stop the marketing. I'm going to ride the rest of this year out. And then what happens is that their calendar ends up with a gaping hole in it. Someone cancels, something gets rescheduled, something happens. And then they'll come back to us and be like, hey, could we turn the marketing back on? And it's like, yeah, we can, but you just missed out on all of that like sales cycle, right? Because like the reality is that, yeah, we can generate leads pretty quick again, but you're not going to be able to start seeing the results from those leads possibly like, 1 month from now or 2 months from now, whatever, right? And so you need to respect the fact that marketing and sales always has a lag time. There's always a lag time in terms of like talking to a prospective client and then gaining their trust and showing them what you could do and then eventually closing the deal, right? And so you need to always look at it that way. And so the most healthy and balanced perspective is to always be marketing. Even when you're busy, you should be doing some form of marketing, even if it's a scaled down version of that, because you should always have the lead flow coming through. This is the same thing, by the way, for hiring. You should always be looking for hiring people or talent, etc., because great talent is hard to come by. And so if someone comes to you and you're like, wow, this is great talent, I would recommend to try and fit them somewhere in your business because you know that it's hard to find great talent. And it's the same exact thing. So always be hiring, always be marketing. It's going to make your life so much easier when it comes to marketing and just business overall. All right, the 8th thing that I want to talk about here is something I call the intangibles / marketing doesn't exist in a vacuum. So something that I've realized over the years is that, yes, you can absolutely track marketing and phone calls and leads and like see where that's coming from, but there are always going to be a certain set of intangibles that come from doing marketing. I'll give you an example. We run a lot of video ads on Facebook ads of our clients talking about their services, etc. And those videos get a lot of views. And so, yes, there are tracked leads and results that come from those ads. However, there is a certain set of intangibles, such as brand building, that comes from that marketing that is more difficult to measure. So for example, someone might see an ad on Facebook for your landscaping company of like you showing your face and just talking about your services, etc. And maybe they don't submit to get a quote right then and there, but maybe what they do is they go to a party sometime and someone mentions the name of your company and they say like, oh, I've been thinking about working with this company. And then you remember as the person who saw the video being like, hey, I actually saw them on Facebook, like they look pretty good. That is an example of intangible marketing that is hard to track, right? Because it accelerates things like word of mouth and accelerates brand recognition overall. That can be difficult to really quantify, right? And I've seen this happen where clients get like recognized in the grocery store and they land a client from that. Or where things sometimes can be more difficult to track because maybe someone saw you on Facebook ads and then they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Like maybe I will get some landscaping done. And then they're driving down the street and then they see your yard sign. They're like, hey, it's that company again. And then they go to a community football game or something. And then you sponsor the game and there's a banner for your company. And then you're there and they go up to you and talk to you and say like, hey, you own this business, right? I'd like to work with you. So you as the business owner, you're like, oh, like I have this banner or whatever. I must have got this lead from this community event. But realistically, it's been the accumulation of all of these different marketing efforts that have holistically come into place to finally get that customer, right? And so oftentimes I think a big mistake that a lot of landscaping and contractors in general will make is they will attribute like all marketing to just existing in a vacuum, where realistically it's more of a holistic approach. Next is going to be the ninth thing here that I've learned is the hungry salesman, I call it. And what this is that you could have the best possible marketing for a campaign, but if you are a landscaper and you're not hungry to actually close those deals with the leads that are being sent to you, it's going to be difficult to have a successful campaign. So for example, we tell all of our clients to call the leads as fast as possible. We tell them to follow up with the leads, so calling them multiple times. And we tell them to ideally put them into the CRM that we provide them with. And if it's not a yes now, you want to follow up with them maybe a couple months later and just say, hey, you're still interested, right? And so just being a hungry salesperson who actually wants someone's business is such a game changer in terms of getting great results for marketing, because the exact opposite of that is someone who's entitled, where they get on the phone with someone, and if the person's not ready to wire them $50,000 for a backyard project right then and there on the spot, they're like, oh, this isn't my customer. It's like, dude, you haven't earned that right to have that kind of attitude. I'm sure you do great work, but these people don't know who you are yet. You're running a marketing campaign, you're generating awareness. So you have to expect to get on the phone with people who need to be educated, who need to be followed up with. Like this, people aren't just going to hand you money on a silver platter. Like, I wish it was that easy. You're building a business here. You need to be able to be hungry for the result. And so the clients who are hungry, who work to gain the business of their customers, and they recognize that it takes time, those people are the people who truly do well. And those are the people that we look for. All right, the 10th lesson here, the final one, is this concept of compounding results. So yes, we can help our clients get results quite quickly. We've gotten pretty insane results in as little as 1 month of clients working with us. However, with that being said, the longer a client works with us, the more their results compound over time and the greater the result will be. And I've seen it happen too, where maybe in the first 3 months, the results are a little bit like mediocre. Okay, we've gotten some sales, but we're basically just breaking even here on this marketing campaign. And then all of a sudden, they just completely turn a corner. This happened literally a week and a half ago, where we were working with a client about 90 days, and he made a little bit more than break even on the campaign. It was working well, but not amazing. And then all of a sudden, one of the leads that he got quite early in the campaign literally was like, yep, let's give it the go ahead. And it was a $250,000 project by the time he was done with it all. So he showed up, did the quote, they added a fence, they added this, they added that. And by the time it was done, it was $250,000. And all of a sudden now he's like, 90 days in, I made all this money. Like, this is crazy. And it's like, that is how marketing works, is that it compounds over time. And so there is a certain element of luck involved with that, but you can't give luck enough time to happen if you're only giving it 1 month or whatever, right? So compounding results. Marketing takes time, and it's only a matter of time until these big opportunities come your way and you're able to close them. And I've seen many, many clients go from being like, oh, this is working okay, to all of a sudden being like, holy crap, this has been an extremely profitable campaign just because they stuck it out a little bit longer. So I would definitely recommend to give marketing some time, give it the chance that it deserves. And if you're seeing potential with it, to continue to invest in it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed these top 10 things that I've learned over the past 10 years that we've been helping landscaping companies grow. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, if you're watching this right now and you're looking for an expert team to come into your lawn care, landscaping, or outdoor living business to really help you crush it with your online advertising, my link is in the description. Book a call with our team. We'd be happy to see how we could help you. All right, guys, I'll see you on my next video.